Years ago, Joe O'Kane was transferred to Fishkill on the tail end of his state time and was waiting for the government to pick him up to face his federal charges. After seeing me, one of the first things he requested help for was to get a chain and cross that they took from him and placed in his personal property. I was able to go to the priest who helped Joe get those items. Unfortunately, it was that same chain and cross that they stole off of his body when he was killed in April 2010 in federal prison. Which goes to show you the mentality of some people. Joe was lying dead in his bunk, and a degenerate goes in and robs his chain and cross, as well as his watch. During our time together at Fishkill, Joe and I had many conversations and a great deal of laughs about the past. He had a lot of pictures that he showed me, especially ones of his son, who I could tell he loved very much. The most disappointing thing that he told me was how difficult prison had been for him, and I didn't know of any what went on. Apparently, when Joe arrived at his first facility, a young guy from the neighborhood, Michael Antonucci, was also serving time there. And instead of greeting Joe, Antonucci spread a false rumor that Joe was an informant on a case. According to Joe, it was one of Antonucci's brothers, and he had two, David or Kevin, that was the informant. At the time that Joe arrived, Michael Antonucci had already been settled in the facility and naturally knew most of the inmates. So when he labeled Joe, to use Joe's words, it was a living nightmare. I was fighting all the time. Antonucci once admitted to luring a 13-year-old girl into a car on February 16, 2000, and thankfully that girl escaped. In 2010, when Joe died, I had no idea and received a call from Anthony Guzzo. At the time, I was living in Staten Island. He told me that he was on the way to Joe O'Kane's wake, and I was shocked. And I found out what happened from Anthony. It was after 7:30 p.m. when he called me, and he wanted to know if I would meet him there, which meant I would have had a shower, shave, and get dressed. And by the time I drove to Queens from Staten Island, the visiting hours would have been over. I was very upset with Anthony for not telling me earlier. Throughout the years, I think of Joe often and feel terrible how his life came to an end. The coward who killed him had to approach Joe while he was sleeping. And I'll end with this. If Joe's son is watching, you should know that when your father was showing me pictures of you, I could see how proud he was. And may he always rest in peace.